Well, good afternoon, and welcome to University of Puget Sound virtually. My name is Robin Eigen. I'm the Director of Student Recruitment and a proud alumnus of Puget Sound. I'm so glad that you joined us for the first of our Spotlight events for admitted students. Over the course of the spring, we're going to host 5 of these Spotlight events that are designed to give you a look into the life of the university and the transformative experience we offer our students. You're here because we've invited you to join this remarkable community, and in the coming months, you'll have an important decision to make. Our aim is to share student stories, whenever possible, told in their own voices to help you understand what it's like to be a student at Puget Sound. Our future Spotlight events will focus on a range of topics, including identities and intersections, residence life, experiential learning, and food. That's right, food. Be sure not to miss that Taste of Tacoma Spotlight, but we hope you can join us for all of them. I'd also encourage you to join us for Choose Puget Sound, a comprehensive virtual open house either on March 17th or April 17th. If you're able to travel or are already in the Tacoma area, our office is currently open for campus tours and one-on-one appointments for admitted students. More information about those is available at pugetsound.edu/visit. Now, tonight's Spotlight is going to focus on student life and activities, the many, many ways that students get involved outside the classroom. At Puget Sound, I think it's really important to remember that we think this is part of your education. These activities aren't extras or add-ons. Getting involved outside the classroom is an essential part of the whole person education that we offer. Before we get started, a couple housekeeping notes. First, closed captioning is available by clicking the closed caption icon at the bottom of your panel. Secondly, this is a webinar. That means that you can see and hear us, but we can't see or hear you. So don't worry about background noise or if you have to get up for a second. We do, however, want to hear from you. So we have a team of admission counselors and current students behind the scenes who are here to answer your questions, and we will take select questions live toward the end of the event. So please be sure to submit those in the Q&A feature, not in the chat. So now I'm going to introduce Nicole Carino to get us started. Nicole is the president of the Associated Students of University of Puget Sound, which we affectionately call ASUPS, and we are so glad that she's able to join us this afternoon. Good afternoon, Nicole.
Hi, Robin. Thank you for that introduction. Hi, everybody. So my name is Nicole Carino. I use she, her pronouns. And as Robin said, I represent ASUPS as the current president of our student body government. Popularly, ASUPS is sometimes conflated with student government, but ASUPS refers to the Associated Students of the University of Puget Sound. So that includes every single student who's fully enrolled here at the University of Puget Sound. And I think that something that is really, really unique about coming to the University of Puget Sound is how small we are, first of all. Small, but not too small. And I think that's really important for me to note for myself, especially when deciding what college to commit to. So we are an autonomous governing student body. That means that a lot of the activities we do, a lot of the decisions that are made at the student government level are made in the interest of students and are decided by students. And we use student fees in order to fund all of these fun activities, student groups that are available to all of the different students. So something that we always like to tell our students is that we as a student body government uphold the values of transformative justice, cultural consciousness, and communal responsibility, honoring and acknowledging that every human life is worthy and beloved. Additionally, ASUP strives to center those on the margins, especially our Black, Indigenous, and people of color community on campus and within the greater Tacoma community. And that's really important to note because we have so many different ways to get involved on campus, whether that's through the more than 160 clubs, and you'll hear more of that with the students on this panel. You'll also hear about the programming that we have. We'll also hear about the different ways that people like to just get engaged in what they're passionate about. I know that I met the best people through the clubs when I was a freshman, and I continue to learn and be inspired by all of the people that I'm surrounded by. And I know that, I'm the person that I am as a senior, like being interested in all of the things that I am because of the people that I've met. And I really wouldn't change that for the world. I know that the college experience is going to be hard in general, but it is what you make of it. I know it's super cheesy, but the saying about college where you put in what you get out, like that's so important. And I think that that's very, very significant of ASUPS So with that, I would like to introduce Sam, who is actually one of our programmers. Sam, you can tell everybody about the work you do, and especially like why are you continuing to stay doing the work?
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much, Nicole, for the intro. Hi, everyone. My name is Sam Kaufman. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm a junior on campus studying history, music, and education. And some of the things I do on campus, I'm part of our Ultimate Frisbee team, I'm part of our jazz orchestra, and I work with orientation. But I'm here to talk about my role in ASUPS as a part of our student programming team. So ASUP student programs work specifically to program and plan interesting, engaging, inclusive, and exciting events for our wider campus community. And my specific role is actually as the performing arts programmer. I mentioned I do have a minor in music, and that lends itself to that. So I work primarily with the School of Music and other performing arts to plan events involving guest artists, musicians, plan performances, and also work more generally with other programmers to create multi-layered events which touch on different art forms. For example, this past Friday, we had Terrence Blanchard, who's Spike Lee's music director, join us for a conversation this past Friday. And that featured themes relating both to Blanchard's experience as a jazz musician and composer, but also some critical discussion regarding one of Spike Lee's films. And I think that really lends itself to how programmers can collaborate together. And that's definitely something I really love about ASUPS as an organization. And additional work I do is with our jazz orchestra specifically, as I bring in specific artists to help us play concerts. And currently I have program artists and other talents to help us create our very first jazz album. So kind of to sum up, the work of a programmer specifically allows you to make your voice heard at program events and projects that are meaningful to you. However, as Nicole alluded to when she was talking about the foundations of ASUPS, a necessary part of my and other programmers' jobs is to collaborate and listen to other student voices that we know, and to ensure that the events that we program capture multiple perspectives, and specifically for me, multiple perspectives of performing arts. And one of my main goals in undertaking a leadership position on campus like this was just that, to learn to listen to students around me and to create powerful, engaging, and inclusive programming that can challenge students' perspectives and hopefully bring forth new ideas, concepts, and events to campus. And what really makes me excited to continue work with ASUPS on campus is to build off of my first year as a programmer, build off my mistakes, and build off my strengths as well, and just to do more. And I'm really looking forward to further opportunities to plan better and more inclusive events, capture more voices, and be a better advocate for our student body. And ASUPS has really given me that opportunity to challenge myself and to learn important leadership skills. And it's definitely launched me forward into other endeavors I want to do outside of college. So that's ASUPS is just kind of one arm of the many, many organizations we have on campus. And as a part of ASUPS, you get chances to work with all the wonderful clubs and organizations that we have on campus besides just student government. I mentioned I'm a part of Ultimate Frisbee, but that's just one. We have so many more. So I'm so excited for all of you to learn more about those opportunities in this session. But otherwise, thank you again so much for giving me the chance to speak. And I'm going to pass it over to Jess Narum to talk about some of those clubs. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jess. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a senior here at Puget Sound from Minnesota. And currently I'm sitting just to the side of Todd Shields. So I'll give you a little peek. As Sam mentioned, we have a number of student organizations and clubs on campus that are student run and a part of our student campus life. And so to start, the reason I'm sitting outside is because over on Todd Field it's at the center of our campus and the center of student life. So you'll often on beautiful days like this find students spending their time out here soaking up the sun on the days where it's not rainy here in Tacoma. But also at the very beginning of the fall semester, at the end of the first week of classes, we have an event called Logjam, which is really the first opportunity for students to kind of dive into campus and student life. It is our version, you might call it, of a club fair. So it's where all of our student groups, organizations, and clubs congregate on the lawn and are able to connect with one another. New students, so transfer students and first year students, are able to connect with other students in the different clubs and organizations on campus. ranging from identity-based groups to club and intramural sports to music or arts groups. There's a whole variety of different clubs and organizations on campus to get involved with. I know as a first year student for me, that was really key in finding my space on campus. It is most definitely a daunting first year, especially in my experience moving across the country and coming from Minnesota. I was nervous about getting connected to campus, finding things I was passionate about. I was very involved in high school with different leadership positions and sports and just different organizations at my school. So I knew that that was one way that I wanted to get involved on campus when I came to college. And so Logjam is a really great way to kind of jumpstart that part of your college career. It's a really fun day where you spend the afternoon learning about different clubs, talking to different students, meeting a bunch of new people, and finding, different opportunities that might suit your interests, your passions, your identities, all of those things, and connecting with students that might share similar interests as well. So you'll definitely, leave that day with lots of emails and contact information, but it's a great way to connect with students and just a fun day overall. There's usually some live music from our acapella groups. There's usually food and a number of other activities in addition to all the clubs and organizations. One organization I want to talk about in particular is our Repertory dance group, otherwise known as RDG. And it's just one of the many different student groups we have on campus. It's one of our bigger ones. Typically, we have about 150 to 200 students participate each semester. And that is a really fun way to get involved. It pulls people from all corners of campus, and it is a completely student and campus community run dance group. So it's a no-cut group. At the beginning of the semester, we do have placements, but we're basically just kind of getting to know one another. And there's dances ranging from hip hop to lyrical and contemporary to we've had Irish dances before. So it really ranges. And because it's completely student choreographed and run, we really can make it what we want it to be each semester. And then each semester we culminate the end of our time together with a big show at one of the last weekends of the year. And that's always a really fun way to get the entire campus involved. It is one of our bigger events on campus, I would say. If you're not dancing in the show, if you're not participating in the club, so many students look forward to attending. I know I attended my freshman year just as an audience member, and it's a lot of fun, and it's a really great way to get to know others. And we use our athletic facilities and our dance room to rehearse throughout the semester, and it's a great way to meet new people outside of your classes and outside of other organizations you may be a part of, and really kind of expand that bubble, get out of your comfort zone if you haven't danced in the past, or continue a passion if that's something that you've done your entire life. So I think for me, it's been a great way to kind of be involved in a more lighthearted, fun environment on campus, in addition to all of my classes and all of the different organizations and clubs I'm also involved in. But it's a nice way to kind of break up your week, meet new people, and really just kind of dive in and get involved in the campus community. So I'll go ahead and wrap up my little spiel, but I think, in addition to clubs like RDG and different identity groups and, club sports, for example, there's just so much range and different things to kind of customize your experience. So I will go ahead and pass it on to Travis, who is currently in our fitness center in the swimming pool in particular. He is on our swim team, and he's going to talk a little bit more about athletics.
Thank you, Jess. Hi, everyone. My name is Travis Bender. I am a current senior, originally from San Francisco. I'm majoring in our business leadership program and double majoring in economics. And like Jess said, I am a part of the swim team here at Puget Sound. So I'm on the an NCAA Division III athlete. And before I get started, let me give you a quick tour of our pool. Right now, you're fortunate to see practice going on. So I'm going to point out what's going on if I can turn my computer around. So here's our pool. You can see everyone swimming around. Our coach is right over there. His name is Chris Meyer. He's awesome. The assistant coach, Mark, is over there as well. And then everyone is prepping for, we have our big championship meet against our rival university in 2 weeks. So we're all getting ready for that. So very exciting stuff. I wanted to quickly talk about what it's like being a Division III athlete, why I chose Puget Sound for this experience, and kind of what being an athlete here is like. So one thing I really like about Division III sports is that there isn't really a scholarship or money ball sponsorship, that kind of stuff. And everyone participates because they love their sport. And this is really important to me because you don't get anyone like complaining during practice. You don't get people feeling down. Everyone's really pumped up to be on deck or on the field or on the court. And everyone really enjoys it, whether that's the coaches or the athletes or the fans. Everyone has a really, really good time here. And another thing about Division III is that you still get access to all the resources you would at a collegiate level program. So like for me, as a swimmer, my shoulders are prone to injury because we use them so much for swimming and everything. But we have athletic trainers in our facilities that help us with rehabilitation, injury prevention, nutrition, you name it. If there's an issue with your body, basically, by an athlete, they're here to help you recover and recuperate and get you ready for competition. Being an athlete is pretty tricky. Being a student athlete, obviously the student comes first, but athlete comes a close second. But our coaches know that, and they really want to make sure that you are doing well in school and that you're having a balance. So like Jess was talking about, you can participate in a variety of clubs in addition to athletics. I'm involved in a few clubs as well as Greek life, and I have time to make room with my schedule as well as balancing my homework and schoolwork. It's really important to have that kind of work, sport, and social balance. I think that's really important for athletes because they go to school, then they go to practice, but they also should have time for themselves as well. For me, my typical day looks like I normally will get up early, do a strength and conditioning session in the morning with my team, then go to classes. Right now we're doing online and in-person learning. So depending on the day, I'll go either in person to a class or go to a class online. And then I'll do a practice in the afternoon, and it'll be more of a kind of specific tailored to me day in the second half of practice. Obviously for different sports, it'll vary, but generally expect around 1 or 2 practices per day, and then competitions on the weekends when you're in season. And lastly, I want to touch on some of my favorite memories that I've had swimming. Obviously, these are specific to the swim team, but you'll make your own memories if you choose to participate in a sport, whichever sport you choose. My favorites are every winter break, the swim team goes on a training trip or a training camp. And we've gone in the past to Hawaii, to California, to Texas. And I really enjoy bonding with the team over traveling. And then you also get to work hard, really hone your skills, but also get to do activities outside the pool as well. So while we were in California, we all went to the beach one day and just had a beach day. Or in Texas, we did a scavenger hunt through downtown San Antonio with the team versus all the coaching staff, which was very, very fun. And I would like to brag that the team did win over the coaches. And then even this year, while during the pandemic, we were able to stay in Tacoma and train a little bit, and then do other kind of games outside, more scavenger hunts, or kind of like games across campus, things like that, to kind of break us out of the swimming mold and really bond as a team, which I think is really important, especially at Division III school. You can really get to know your teammates, and your team becomes a second family while you're here at the university. Overall, I really enjoyed, as a senior, I've definitely enjoyed my almost 4 years of swimming here, and I definitely don't regret any minute of it. And my advice to anyone interested in participating in athletics is reach out to the current team members if your coach can provide that, and then hear why they stayed at Puget Sound, but also learn about like what their daily routine is and how they balance everything. And then going off of what Nicole said, basically you get out what you put into it. And that's really true for athletics as well. If you push yourself in practice, do good on your schoolwork, you have a really, really strong positive experience here at the university, and you'll have lots of success in all facets of your college career. That's about it for me. If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to with them in the Q&A, but I'm going to turn it over to Lenora, who will talk a little bit about one of our on-campus organizations called Homes, and what that organization is and what they do. And Lenora, if you want to take it away, that'd be awesome. And thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Travis. Hi, my name is Lenora Yee, and I'm a senior at University of Puget Sound. I'm a double major in English and Spanish, and I'm also a minor in music with an emphasis in voice. I'm also the co-founder of the student organization Coalition of Multiracial and Biracial Students, also known as COMS. I have my shirt on for you all. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the process of founding a student organization and a little bit about what for me COMS has meant as being one of the most gratifying experiences in cultivating community to discuss the intricacies of identity and multiraciality with people of all different ethnic identities. Something that has always been really important to me and coming to the University of Puget Sound is cultivating a sense of community in a variety of different ways, whether it's musical or academic, particularly an identity-based community. And this isn't something I necessarily foresaw right away as a freshman, but after my time here and actually at a Posse Plus retreat in 2019, I began to really realize how affinity and multiraciality as an identity functioned as a mode of connection for people of all differing identities. And it was really incredible to have a space to talk about affinity and experiences of multiplicity and multiple things at once within ethnic and racial identities, and different students' experiences that were really similar and resonant regardless of their specificity. So something I wanted to do after that was create a student space on campus that was dedicated to further discussing multiracial identities and experiences on campus and moving forward. And that really, it kind of took off from there, and it was really exciting to just find a co-founder and a couple students and a sponsor, and the support was incredible. And move forward with creating a space, filling out a form, and then meeting regularly. The space itself is really dedicated mostly to community building. We talk a lot about different topics of belonging and different specific experiences of people of all different ethnic and racial identities and communities. We've also done some panels in the past, which have been really incredible experiences, and we partnered with the But Some of Us Are Brave lecture series and brought this really extraordinary lecture from OSU, Dr. Saeed Kofi, who gave an extraordinary lecture on multiraciality, which was definitely a really incredible experience to be a part of. And in terms of just ways to get more involved and possibilities for prospective students, something that a senior actually told me when I was a freshman is that if there's not a student space on campus that you see, that you should create one. And I think that that's something that's incredible about the intimacy of the student communities, is that if there's something that you see that you think is needed, that there's often so much support in so many ways to just do what you see and envision to make a better and more cultivated community happen. And so I think that's been just really incredible for me. And in terms of getting more involved with COMS, if that's something that resonates with you, you're welcome to email combs@pugetsound.edu or check out social media just to find a little bit more about what types of programming and conversations we're having. And we have weekly meetings. But thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoy the rest of your time listening to all different clubs and organizations. And next, Kate is going to tell us a little bit about experiences with Greek life.
Thanks, Lenora. Hi, everybody. My name is Kate Harris. I am a senior here at Puget Sound, and I use she, her pronouns. I'm originally from Salt Lake City, Utah, and today I'm going to be telling you all a little bit about Greek life and how that looks here at Puget Sound. So I'm joining you all from one of our Greek houses. And as you can see, I'll show you in a little bit, Greek Row kind of extends down this one street that is directly right across the street from one of our academic buildings, Wyatt Hall. So just kind of geographically, I think Greek life is really well connected to campus life, but I also think in a social sense, Greek life is really well connected to students and everything that they're doing kind of outside of their own lives, academically and socially. And there are 5 sororities and 4 fraternities here on campus. And every year we have a big event called Greek Week, which kind of combines everybody from Greek life and allows us to have fun events on campus for all students to participate in. and kind of get a sense for what Greek life is, which is probably one of my favorite memories, being in Greek life here at Puget Sound. But I think one of the really special and unique things about Greek life, especially here at a small liberal arts institution, is the fact that we have spring recruitment for all Greek houses. So that means that you are technically not allowed to join a Greek house until spring semester of your freshman year. So you really have a full semester to get a feel for Greek life, kind of see if that's something that you would like to do. For me, coming into college, I did not see myself joining Greek life at all. That was not something that was on my radar. But as kind of Lenora was saying, is if you're looking for a space on campus, join it, or you can create it yourself. I was looking for a space that was for leadership and community, and especially a community of fellow women. I was kind of seeking that, and I didn't experience that in a lot of other things I was doing. So Greek life was suggested to me, and kind of on a whim, I decided to go for it, go through the recruitment process and just see what happens. And I've had a really fulfilling experience doing that. I've been able to meet so many amazing women who are leaders in our community and are involved in so many different spaces across campus, whether it be within the Greek life community and beyond. And I actually think Greek life is a really good space on campus to get started in leadership positions. It's a place that you are supported by your fellow members of Greek life to try out for those leadership roles. And I think that extends to so many different opportunities, both here during your education at Puget Sound and also beyond following graduation. Greek life has really inspired me to kind of step out of my comfort zone, meet a lot of really amazing people, both within my chapter and in the Tacoma community and beyond. Personally, I've really liked working with our philanthropy, and it's actually inspired me to pursue a career in that field of the philanthropy that I work with. So Greek life has been really transformative and amazing for me on campus. And I think it's a really unique opportunity to be able to get that kind of Greek life experience at a small liberal arts college. I think that's not something that you can get everywhere. And so I've really liked being able to have that experience and meet so many different new fun faces on campus. We have about 30% of campus involved in Greek life in some way or another. So while it's not a dominating presence by any means, it's a pretty scaled back, low-key community, but it is a recognizable number to create a really fun community where everyone is supporting each other and being able to meet and expand your kind of social circle on campus. So I've had a really positive experience. So hopefully I've kind of let you guys in on some information on what it's like to be a member of Greek life here at Puget Sound. But I'm going to pass it on to Julian, who's going to tell us a little bit more about Investment Club. So thank you, everyone.
Hey everybody, thanks Kate for that introduction. My name is Julian. I am a senior here at Puget Sound, originally from Minneapolis, Minnesota, double majoring in the business leadership program and economics. And I'm currently the president of the Puget Sound Investment Club. So the Puget Sound Investment Club, I think, is a really unique program that we have, and it definitely speaks to the power of ASUPs and being able to build the kind of community that you want and that you want to surround yourself with, which is really great. So the Puget Sound Investment Club was developed about 10 years ago, and it started because with the liberal arts education, you're going to do a lot of prerequisites, and you get to sort of expand your knowledge in your early years, taking science classes if you're a business major, things like that. So you don't really get to take those niche finance classes until you're a junior and eventually a senior. So we wanted to create a space for students in their first or second year to start engaging with finance, starting to learn more about financial literacy and start learning more about how the markets work. And so the Puget Sound Investment Club was created by a group of juniors and seniors. And then about 5 years ago now, one of our alums, who's also on the board of trustees, caught wind of the Puget Sound Investment Club and actually donated a portfolio to us as part of the Puget Sound Endowment. So we currently run and invest $100,000 worth of the endowment. So that's what our starting value was back about 5 years ago. And actually just this past month, we have crossed over the $200,000 mark in the portfolio, which was really exciting for all the members of the club. And it's really a fantastic experience to get to work with this type of an account and to really have full control. So any active member is allowed to create a full stock pitch. So they'll get to work with the executive team. Those are students who have taken some of those upper level finance classes, and they'll work sort of as a peer tutor to help them learn more about the fundamentals of companies and what might be a good pick for the portfolio. And then they get to actually give a formal presentation to the club, and we then vote on stocks to purchase with our portfolio that we have. So it's a really great hands-on experience for the club members. But then we also try to do a lot of campus outreach. We work really closely with the econ department and the business department here at Puget Sound. So we've put on various panels and field trips. We've had field trips where we visited 5 investment firms in one day up in Seattle. We had Russell Investments, which is one of the largest private equity firms in Seattle. They hosted us for an entire day, and they actually set up a panel of UPS alum that all work there now to speak with us about what their experience was like going from a UPS student, some of them in the investment club, to now working there, which was really great. We worked with the business department to put on a Women in Finance speaker series. So we had an amazing 6 panelists come and speak to us for about 2 hours. We had the founder of Zoomies. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that brand. You'll often see it at the mall. But the founder of Zoomies is actually an alum of University of Puget Sound. And so they came down and gave a full presentation to the greater campus community on behalf of the investment club, which was really amazing. So I've really enjoyed it. I was extremely active starting right away my freshman year. I attended Logjam, which we heard about from Jess earlier, and I did the classic mistake of signing up for about 20 too many clubs because there's so many that all sound so interesting. But then you start to narrow it down, and I really decided to commit my time to the investment club. Worked with a few friends of mine, and now me and my friends sort of make up the exec team. So it's a really great way to build a community. And it really is a great leadership role, because once you are on the exec team, the club's direction is truly up to you. So this year it was really up to us to take on the challenge of moving to a remote format and creating virtual meetings and virtual speakers to come into the club. Had to write all new bylaws for doing the stock pitches. So some of it was really fun, some of it was really technical, but it was all really great learning experiences. So definitely recommend joining clubs and sticking with it. As you've heard from many speakers, you really get out of it what you put into it. So if you want to reach these upper level leadership positions in any of the clubs or organizations that we've spoken about, it's so worth it. The experiences you'll get are truly amazing. So with that, I'm now going to pass it off to Mimi, who's going to talk about Black Student Union, or BSU.
Hello, thank you, Julian, and it's so good to hear about the investment club. I'm Mimi Duncan. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm originally from Tacoma. I'm a 3rd year here at the university, and I major in history with a minor in politics and government. And I also have the privilege of serving as one of the co-presidents for the Black Student Union, or the BSU. So the BSU is essentially just a club dedicated to supporting students with a focus on the Black student population. We believe in creating a positive community and presence on our campus. I personally joined the Black Student Union my freshman year when I arrived on campus because I felt a little bit lonely despite being from Tacoma. And I wanted to just make more connections with people. And I found that instantly within the BSU through meetings and events. It has truly become my home on campus, if I'm being honest, and has created a lot of opportunities and life-changing moments for me. One of them being the BLM protest that I had the privilege of co-organizing and co-leading alongside 2 other BSU members, Jalen Antoine and Serena Sevison. The protest took place on campus and had a participation number of around 5,000 people. So that protest has led to many other opportunities, like writing for the university's official magazine, Arches, which I did this last summer. But ultimately, BSU has become my comfort space at the University of Puget Sound. Being the co-president has allowed me to learn so much about myself and my own passions and my own future, and what I want to drive towards and what I want to succeed in. It has also taught me the importance of community and cultivating a space. So BSU meetings normally include introductions, announcements, an activity or game that's normally formed by me as the co-president, and then a conversation that could be about organizing a protest, a theme relating to anti-Black racism, or honestly just how we're dealing with the week in our school life at the time. And so if that's something that you're ever interested in or want to know more about, you guys can reach out to the BSU through our Puget Sound email, which is bsu@pugetsound.edu. And with that, I will hand it over to Nola, who will talk about ADV. Thank you.
Thanks, Mimi, for that introduction. It's great to hear about BSU. My name is Nola, and I'm a junior. I am also from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I'm studying English with a minor in global development studies. So I'm here to talk about a club on campus called Advocates for Detained Voices, which I joined at the end of my freshman year. And it is a immigrant rights club on campus that focuses heavily on the Northwest Detention Center, which is one of the largest ICE facilities in the region and 10 minutes from our campus. So we follow the leadership of a grassroots organization in Tacoma that is undocumented led and advocate for their changes in the Tacoma City Council, along with going to events. And so one of my favorite events that we led on campus was last year. We had a bike ride. We organized a bike ride to the City Council meeting from campus and had people who didn't have bikes were able to rent them, borrow them from the school. So we all biked down to City Council and made public comments about why we believe that the detention center should be shut down. And that was a great kind of experience to connect with the larger Tacoma community and be, holding our government officials accountable. So it's a great space for me. I've been able to learn a lot more about leading and what being part of a multiracial organization looks like, and how to be a part of a kind of larger community and make change through that. So happy to chat more about the club if anybody's interested. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and you can email us at adv@pugetsound.edu. So next we're gonna go to some questions, and Julian will be leading us in that.
Thanks, Nola. Great. So I'm going to invite all of our panelists to join us back with their cameras here, and we're going to run through a few questions, some of them that we've received from the audience. So thank you all. Please continue to send in questions throughout this period. So obviously this has really all been focused around clubs and people finding their own communities. And one of the themes that we've had constant is if there's not a community that you want to join right away, you can build your own community. And I think a great example of that is Lenora with the introduction of Combs. So Lenora, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about the process of creating your own ASAPS club and what that looked like for you.
Yeah, sure. That's a really great question. That's something I also really was curious about throughout the process, because it seems kind of daunting to have this great idea and not be sure what steps you take to make something come to fruition. But I think something that was really helpful was having just a lot of support from students that were in my year and a year above. I was able to kind of ask questions, like a lot of questions just about what the organizing looked like and what facilitating a conversation might look like. And then a lot of it also was something that I kind of created along the way. More specifically though, I think it's really just as easy as getting a packet, downloading it online and just writing down your mission statement and getting some students that want to do something with you. It could be on identity, it could be academic, it could be interest-based. There's some really quirky student collectives as well, if you have a real passion for something. And then you basically go to a Senate meeting and you pitch your idea to the student body government, and
they'll most likely support you in the creation of the club. You explain kind of why you want ASUP's funding, which is, I think, something pretty central, particularly for identity-based clubs, clubs that really look to do community organizing. Like, you need the money for food and for just like kind of like collective cultural sharing and cultural exchanges. So I think that's super central and really important just for any identity-based organization, and to do like intercultural events too with other identity-based clubs, which is like so important too, just and talk about allyship and like how that plays into your club organization as well. So yeah, I think a lot of it is just trusting yourself and your vision, and your ability to like feel and have a pulse on what you think is needed in the creation of a club. And sometimes, weeks there's fewer people. Sometimes there's a ton of people, like too many people. It's like an ebb and flow. And I think being flexible with that and reaching out to your peers that support you, and peers in other student identity organizations, and seeing what they're doing, and just sort of constantly being in communication and curious, and having a lot of humility too, and making mistakes, and knowing that, everyone is in it together in some ways, particularly when you're thinking about student organizing and just building communities. So I think that hopefully addresses your question, Julian. In the process of any kind of building a club, I think it's really just about having your couple people that are there to help you through it, and maybe like one other person, particularly if it's an idea that you really want to take the lead on, and then just going with it and trusting the process and letting it grow, and letting it be as it is,
Thanks, Lenora, for that. And I definitely just want to highlight as well what Lenora mentioned about having peer mentors in ASUPs. Everyone is always so willing and able to help you in any way. If you're completely lost and you're trying to find the right paperwork, people are super responsive. So you're never really left alone when you're trying to get an organization off the ground, because it can be quite challenging. So thanks for that, Lenora. So next up, I know we heard from Travis, who was talking about what it's like to be a D3 student athlete, but I was wondering, Sam, if you could talk a little bit about what it's like to be a club athlete and your involvement with the Ultimate Frisbee team.
Yeah, absolutely, Julian. So we have 2 Frisbee teams on campus, or actually 3. We have one mixed team, and then we also have a men's and a women's team. We're a very tight-knit community, and that's bit similar to varsity sports as well. I think club sports are just as tight-knit, and one thing that I really loved about doing club sports is I wasn't really sure how much I wanted to make athletics a part of my college experience, but you have really great outlets. There are club sports like rock climbing, there's Ultimate Frisbee, of course, ski team, there's lacrosse, and these are all ways to get involved with sports and have it be something that you do, but not make it a large part of your college experience. Ultimate Frisbee especially gives students a lot of freedom to participate as much as they'd like. Our fall season is non-competitive and our spring season is competitive, and that's how we kind of divvy it up. But it was something I never done before, and it was just such a loving community that I really felt comfortable throwing myself into, and I was really felt very accepted, and it was just a really great outlet. So that experience has been great, and that I've been able to balance all my schoolwork, all my other academic and other jobs as well, really well with that position. And it's given me an opportunity to do club leadership. I'm the treasurer for the men's Ultimate Frisbee team as well. So I would encourage students definitely to explore with club sports if they're interested in athletics, but maybe feel intimidated by varsity sports, because I didn't play a sport before I went to college, and Frisbee was a very nice outlet to kind of explore that thing that I haven't explored before.
Thanks for that, Sam. It was great to get that perspective from the club side of things versus Travis's from more the professional side, if you will. So thank you for that comparison. Nicole, obviously you're extremely involved with ASUPs, but we received a question asking us about how you can get involved with ASUPs besides programming.
Yeah, so anyone who's looking to get any experience in leadership or just trying to find your voice, there are so many different ways to do that, whether it's like Lenora, like starting your own club, whether it's just being a member of a club that you think is interesting. And I also see a question too with, if you are a student athlete, can you still be a part of clubs? You, again, like, if you can find the time in your schedule in between your classes, in between, like res life, you are 100% encouraged to be able to get involved and be, as active as you can be. Obviously it is hard because if you want to sign up for 100 million things, you are going to have to go through a period of trying to shift your priorities. But I think that's a really great way to find out where you feel like you best fit with your own leadership skills. I know that as a freshman on campus, me wanting to go into student government, especially through Senate, was one way for me to find out what the information is on the institution. I know that for me, at least, I'm from San Francisco, and advocacy and being able to advocate for education, especially for first graduate students like me, was a big thing that I valued coming into the University of Puget Sound. So, like I found groups, and I was heavily involved in groups like the Posse Scholar Program. I tried to look for more students of color like me, and it was also through just doing like fun activities. So like I love doing choir. So like I was in choir for like my 1 year. I was also like really interested in sports. That didn't happen for me for the next couple of years, but it was fun to be able to just try things out. And also, Kate talked about Greek life, and I definitely was somebody who was like, ew. But you can't judge it until you try it, and unless you figure out where to fit yourself, because there's always, in like every single community you go to, in any single place and environment, like you're always going to find your niche, you're going to find what matters to you. And as long as you practice authenticity, you practice empathy, and you're also around people that at the end of the day just want the best for you, that's a really encouraging and really introductionary, that's not a word, intro way to be able to find what you care about. And I think that leadership comes with experience, and also if you care about it enough, people will follow and they'll vibe with you, and they'll definitely want to continue being around you if they care about it as much as you do. So that's my experience, and I'm so grateful that I was able to have so much of that here at Puget Sound.
Thank you so much for that, Nicole. Another question for you, Lenora. This one is about choir and how that works at Puget Sound. And maybe if you could speak a little bit about the acapella program here as well.
Yeah, I can talk about choir and acapella. Yeah, I mean, like more specifically, it kind of just depends on the cycle. When I was a prospective student, I applied to the music program as a minor and auditioned for a music scholarship. And that's something that you can also do as a prospective student, since the School of Music is still part of the University of Puget Sound, but they sometimes have their own, specificities, as Sam knows, within just auditions and requirements for minors and things like that. If you're interested in just being in a choir, you can do that without minoring or majoring, which is really cool. They have auditions at the beginning of each semester. There's also a choir ensemble that doesn't require any auditions, so if you're looking for just something a little more laid back and chill, you can totally do that as well. And typically you prepare a song and perform for the different choir directors, and then you get placed in a choir for the year. In terms of acapella, there's an acapella group that is actually kind of a branch of one of the choirs, so that's something that's pretty neat. I personally haven't been a part of it, but they're really talented. And there's also Club Acapella as well, which I'm a part of. I'm a member of What She Said, and there's a couple other acapella groups as well. And so if that's something you're interested in, you audition typically like every single season. So even with online times, we did auditions online, which was really fun. And different acapella groups have different, purposes, and sometimes they like shift what their missions are, whether it's doing programming that's specific to certain organizations, or doing things with the YWCA, for example, which What She Said has done in the past. There's opportunities to do that. You can like dabble in beatboxing if that's your thing, or kind of get comfy with ensemble singing. And if choral music or like classical music is more your like realm, there's more than enough ways to get involved as well. I also take studio voice lessons. And even as a minor, I've continued taking voice lessons throughout my time here, which has been really transformative for me personally. And I've really enjoyed that too. So depending on how involved you want to be, there's flexibility, and within voice in particular. Hopefully that helps answer that question. I'll stop because I know I can talk about like the specificities of the choral program for a little too much. So yeah.
Thanks so much, Lenora, for speaking about that. So next up, I'm going to turn to you, Jess. Given that you are now a senior here and you're wrapping up your last semester here at Puget Sound, I was wondering if you could provide a piece of advice to the admitted students here listening, just about some advice relating to either choosing the right college or just about your first days at college, just something that helped you through the process, or looking back on it would have helped you in the process.
Yeah, definitely. I think the biggest piece of advice I can give as far as the college experience goes, and I'm going to steal this from something Nicole said at the very beginning, is that the college experience really is what you make of it, and you really truly do get out of it what you put in. So I think my biggest piece of advice is just to like put yourself out there, commit to being a little bit vulnerable at the very beginning and throughout your experience, and try new things, especially when it comes to campus life and student life. Like so many of us have talked about throughout our time today, just putting yourself out there and trying new things is really one of the best ways I think you can get connected to the campus community and really find a space that really nurtures your whole experience over the course of 4 years. Because that all might sound a little bit cheesy, but college really is your home for 4 years. It's where you live, it's where you go to school, it's where many of us work, and where many of us find our friends and our social life. So you really want to try and push yourself to kind of plug into the community and find those people and those spaces that really do nurture that experience in the best way possible. So I think my biggest piece of advice is just as much as you can, kind of from the get-go, really just dive in and try new things. Plug yourself into clubs and organizations and student groups that you feel are part of your passions or are things you've been curious about. College is a great time to kind of go after the things you may have been eyeing for a long time. I know many of us were involved in a lot of different things in high school, and those are awesome things to continue in college too. I know I've done some of that. I also sing in a choir here, and that's something I've done my entire life, among other different activities and clubs that I've continued. But at the same time, it's such a great opportunity to try new things and take on new leadership roles and really challenge yourself as a leader and as a student and just a member of the campus community. And I think that's where you're going to really kind of find your place and become most plugged into this community, because it's a fun 4 years, and it's supposed to be special and it's supposed to be challenging, but it's all about kind of pushing yourself to find your space and to grow as much as you can. So I think my biggest piece of advice is just to push yourself early on, because that will set you up to continue challenging yourself in new ways throughout your 4 years.
Thank you so much for that, Jess. So it looks like we have time for about 2 more questions here. So first, I wanted to throw it to Mimi. And Mimi, I was wondering if you could talk about your experience in organizing such a large on-campus event. You brought thousands of people here to campus to support BLM. It was an amazing event. I was wondering if you could talk about first how that worked in terms of channeling that invite around campus, but then how it worked about also including the greater Tacoma community in the event that you hosted on campus.
Yeah, definitely. So the first thing I talk about every time I mention the protest that I helped organize with Jalen and Selena is the AFAM department, the African American Studies program on our campus. They're full of phenomenal, brilliant professors who do nothing but support students. And so that was the first goal for us, was just getting in contact with them, figuring out what do we need to do, who do we need to contact on the school, who do I need to call, what do I need to like actually do to get onto campus with the amount of people that we had. So we had to go through like a pretty long process, I guess. It took a couple of days to get everything cleared out of the way before we could start advertising the protest. As far as like, I think the organizing and backgrounds of it, it was in June and it happened very quickly within those 3 days of it. So some of it's still blurry for me, but it was mainly just having to understand our positionality as a club, as a ASUPS club, a club that's ran by our ASUPS government through students. And also my positionality just as like a student walking this campus with my faculty, with my peers. What do I really want to see from my campus? What do I think what do I think and what do we think as like BSU and the two other core organizers want to see from this protest? And then when it came to like actually advertising it, the 3 people who co-organized it were all from Tacoma. And so we all kind of know people around here. We all kind of are in our own different hubs around Tacoma. I know I'm from Hilltop, Serena's from Southside, and Jalen's from Lakewood. So we all kind of had people from Tacoma coming together. I hope I'm still answering the question, but I think what really gathered people was just the idea of like community, the idea of empathy, and the idea of being together on a campus. Because I really couldn't speak about the complete Tacoma community, but I can tell you that from everybody I saw that was on campus who attends the University of Puget Sound that was there at the protest, everybody wanted to be there to support BLM, to support BSU, and to support Blackness. And so I truly think that that's essentially what that protest was. So I hope that answered the question. I know that got a little tangent-y. I get really excited talking about it. I don't know if you guys can see this picture right here. That's of the day. So, but yeah, that's how the protest.
That was great. Thank you so much. I love the excitement. So I think this will be one of our last questions, and it's going to be sort of a longer one, and I'm going to throw this one to you, Kate. So obviously we've spoken about how involved the greater campus community is, and we're all here involved in so many different clubs and organizations. So that obviously takes up a lot of our time during the week, along with classes, obviously. So I was wondering if you could talk about how you decompress from all your clubs and all your commitments that you have. What does the weekend look like for you here at Puget Sound?
That is a great question. And I'll start, I guess, by giving the like really cookie cutter answer that you're gonna hear and you have heard from a lot of students already, is your experience is what you make it, which again, you've heard that a lot, but I can explain it a little bit more, I guess. I think really for anyone and any student at Puget Sound, whatever you want to do and whatever you're looking for, you're going to find a community of people that supports you in doing so. And so I think, if you're someone that, wants to hang out with a lot of people on the weekend, then you can find that group of people do that. If you're someone who likes to stay in and have movie nights, you're going to find a community to support you in doing that. And so I think there's so many different ways to be able to get involved, and it's really up to you and your preferences and your experiences that is going to guide you into kind of the spaces that you feel most comfortable in. I think for me, the weekend, especially if the weather is nice, is always a good opportunity and an excuse to explore the beautiful Pacific Northwest. I saw a question, I don't know if it's been answered already, but about skiing as well. So if you are at all interested in the outdoors, there is no greater place, in my opinion, than Tacoma to be able to pursue so many different outdoor opportunities. If you want to go skiing, you can do that. If you want to go backpacking, you can do that. If you want to go climbing, you can do that. Really anything under the sun is at your fingertips. But if you would rather stay close, there's 2 really amazing kind of districts, like college-y districts that are within walking distance of the campus. So we have 6th Avenue and Proctor that are full of restaurants and shops and places to explore and walk around. Also the Metro Parks Tacoma system is amazing, and there are so many cool parks, not just here in the North End, but all around Tacoma that you can explore. You can go down to the waterfront, and there's so much to see and do in the Tacoma community and in the area that even now as a senior, I'm still finding new places to go and fun things to do. And I think that's a really amazing opportunity to use your weekend time to go pursue that. But I think even if you'd rather stay on campus, there's always something going on. There's always an event or something being planned by our amazing students that you heard from today. So whether it's a performance or you know, like RDG or improv or choir, orchestra. There's things on campus too. So you don't have to go far in order to entertain yourself and find an event that sounds fun and exciting to you. And I think, again, even as a senior, I'm still finding new places to go and new things to go to and trying new things. And I think going along with what Jess said as well, that's also an opportunity to be vulnerable and step outside your comfort zone. And, you know, sometimes going to those events will inspire you to maybe join those communities and get involved in those spaces. I think for me, like as a freshman, going to the improv shows inspired me to, like, on a whim, try out for improv. It was something I had never done before. Had terrible stage fright, but I auditioned and I made it, and I did improv for a year, and that was really fun. And so I think the weekend and kind of that time off to decompress is such a good opportunity to explore new things that you might be engaged in, and also to kind of soak in the amazing sites and places that we have just at our fingertips here in Tacoma and in the Pacific Northwest.
Thank you so much for that, Kate. And you brought us to pretty much 5 o'clock on the dot. So I obviously want to respect everyone's time, both our guests and our panelists. So thank you all so much for coming and visiting with us today. Please do feel free to check out the website, for further visit information. We'll also have recordings posted of this event in a few days if you want to go back and look at anything. But also if you want to connect with more of our students, we have a great connect page where you can connect with our fellow loggers here. You can read some bios about some of our students. You'll see some of our faces on there as well. And there's links for you to actually get in contact with us directly if you want to ask any further questions. So please do feel free to do that. But other than that, thank you so much and good luck with the rest of the search process.